Hello, parents, educators, and nerdy D&D fans. You have found our new home for Area of Effect, a talk show where we discuss how tabletop role-playing games benefit the whole family. We're currently in process of shifting all our old but golden episodes over to this new channel by posting a new episode every weekday until we catch back up to our new episodes. We would love your help getting this new channel up and running with a follow, share, or review. And thanks for joining us on our quest to bring more adventurers to the table.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
You're going to get it right. First time.
Get what right?
I'll say hello, and then
Ready?
you say hello, and then
Hello,
the billowing
everybody.
hilltop. Hello, no,
Hello.
no. Oh, Christ,
And then the billowing hilltop.
We are the billowing hilltop. I hadn't worked anything.
You haven't done anything after
Yeah,
that, have
you've
you?
only got
45 seconds.
What do we do? No, I know what we do. I know what we do. We
Dirty.
play tabletop role-playing games. Currently, we're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. We're playing The Outlaws of Alkenstar Adventure Path by Paizo. And there's hundreds of episodes of us playing D&D.
Yep.
We just sit around a table playing games and having fun, and you can hear us wherever you're hearing this. Search Billowing Hilltop. We hope you join us. Yay!
Thank you.
Hey there, this is Wythe Marshall from the Stillfleet Studio. We put together a little podcast called Why We Roll, and now we're very proud to be part of the network Podderation. So if you're listening to one of Podderation's other great shows, and you're interested in TTRPGs specifically, that's tabletop role-playing games, you might be interested in our show. Why We Roll is all about how you make TTRPGs, what makes them fun, different kinds of stories you can tell with TTRPGs, and even the business, so the practical advice side. So if any of that sounds appealing, whether you're a GM, you want to design your homebrew game, or you're interested in getting in the industry, why don't you head over to Why We Roll, check us out. We really, really appreciate it, and keep making awesome stuff.
One of the cooler things that we got to watch as we were filming the kids' table was the way that Chloe developed as a player over the 7 arcs. She started out really nervous, and she started out very quiet, and you can see that in the first couple of episodes of the kids' table. And it was really cool to watch as she became more comfortable, and as we got to know her better and were able to tap into the different ways that she was smart, how she came out of her shell. One of the reasons that we play D&D is because it helps kids live into who they are and how they are made in different ways from other people, and how those strengths combine together at the table. And when we're talking about how to help kids become resilient, resilience is all about how you get up when you're knocked down, what you do when you fail, what you do when the world around you is uncertain. And when you are confident in who you are and how you were made, that's how you know you can face the challenges ahead. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Allison.
And welcome to Area of Effect, a podcast by the Kids Table, where we discuss how tabletop RPGs benefit kids and answer your questions about playing TTRPGs with the kids at your table. So, Allison, last week you talked a lot about identity formation, specifically with teenagers, but with kids in general. And one of the things that I really liked about that is that figuring out who kids are is hard.
Yeah, it's a process that even adults are still going through, but it happens the quickest and the most saturated, the most concentrated during childhood and adolescence.
Well, and I think that's an important point too. Like, adults have a tendency to view kids as these like sort of unformed lumps of clay that we get to mold and we get to, make into little versions of ourselves. And A, that's terrible psychology. But B, like, we're also in the middle of that formation process too, right? Like, we're still learning things about ourselves every day.
Right. And isn't that great news that we can get better with age, right? With age and experience.
The thing that I love about that story about Chloe, though, and Chloe, it's really funny because Chloe is this sassy little girl, and I was surprised at how quiet she was when we started the kids' table. And it really was because she was trying to figure out who she was at the table. She was trying to figure out who she was in the context of the game. And for me, one of the things that helps me, I'm an educator by trade. I, used to teach, don't teach anymore. But one of the educational theories that I always really enjoyed, because it helped me connect with kids better, was multiple intelligence theory. A guy named Howard Gardner developed this theory about multiple intelligences, that people are smart in different ways. Um, and you can Google this, and you can find this. There's tests about it, and there's a lot that's been written about it. But basically, all he's saying is that there are 8 big categories that people can be smart in, and they're things from interpersonal connection to sort of verbal and linguistic modalities, to visual and spatial, like spatial reasoning, and stuff like that. Uh, Allison, if you were going to put yourself in one of those categories, what would you be?
Definitely visual spatial.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Oh, that's really
Not
cool.
100%, I guess. You made me rethink it.
No. I mean, yeah, you can be smart in different ways too. Like, you don't have to be just one. But that's really funny, because that's what I would say about me too. Like, I am a very visual person, very spatial person.
That's why I love D&D maps.
I know. Well, that's why I like building D&D maps too. Like, Allison and I also have a campaign that we do with other adults. And I was DMing once, and I used my kids' blocks to make a dungeon so that we had a 3D map, and it was glorious. It was so great. So Chloe, it turns out, I would say that Chloe, one of her strengths is the verbal linguistic intelligence. And so the more that I was able to draw her into conversations around the table, and not just like throw things at her, but get her to speak, the more comfortable she became, because she was becoming more of who she was.
So one of the things that I love about multiple intelligence theory is that it heavily implies that there are many different ways to be smart, and everybody is smart just in different ways. Whereas I feel like in some certain situations, like maybe school, some intelligences are honored and valued above other intelligences. And one of the things I really appreciated about the people at our table, at the kids' table, is that everybody really supported each other's strengths, including their own intelligences. For example, you'll see, especially in the beginning, a lot of times when Ryan and Alice, especially, also Beckett and Raynell, gave Chloe a lot of time to be able to build her courage or formulate what she wanted to say. They would even give her like suggestions, but still empower her to make the choice of what she wanted her character to do. And they really like created this safe space for her, instead of like jumping in to fill the silence or telling her what she should do or talking over her and taking the lead instead. Everybody around the table like really honored and uplifted the strength that she could bring to the table if she only had the opportunity. And I thought that was a really beautiful thing to see.
Well, and that's really key too when we start talking about resilience with kids and with teens. Resilience comes partially from the community, giving you sort of the opportunity to feel safe and to feel secure. But it really comes when you are able to live into your own identity, when you know who you are. And you sort of see that over the progression of the Kids Table series, that some of these things that Chloe is doing at the beginning, like the first battle that we fight in, she is terrified of doing anything because she doesn't want an enemy to see her. She doesn't want a wolf to attack her because she doesn't want to go down. And then in the more recent episodes, she's still concerned. She's still got that concern for herself and for the people around her, but she's also yelling at one of the NPCs who isn't doing what she wants him to do. Like, I'm DMing this NPC who's scared of everything, and he goes and he hides behind a pillar, and Chloe out of nowhere pipes up and says, "I want to say something to him." And like, it was really beautiful because she's living into this linguistic intelligence, right? She's starting to talk, and she's using her words to express this frustration at this, person who doesn't exist. And one of the ways that we sort of spun that out was then she got to roll a persuasion check to make that NPC do something. So there was something that we could actually do in the game at the table to support that intelligence that she was coming up with, that choice that she was making.
One of the things I love about D&D when it comes to building resilience is like really if you like distill D&D down to like the essence of what makes it the structure of it work is the roll, right? You're going to roll and add some numbers and then you're going to decide did that action result in a success or a failure. So building resilience is all about failing and keeping to try or overcoming or moving forward, right? So D&D gives so many opportunities to do that because, you know, the standard like default is a DC 10. If you roll 11 or higher, you succeed. If you roll 1 through 10, you fail, right? And sometimes it gets harder if it's something more difficult for your character to do. Sometimes it's easier. But so assuming the default, half of the time your character is going to fail. So it gives you a lot of opportunities to figure out different things to try. Like you don't just say, oh, I failed that check on finding the goblet that was hidden in this room. So I guess our adventure's over. We're going to go back home and go back to my life as a farmer. No, you figure out another thing to try, or your teammate steps in and says, why don't I help? Why, you know, my character is strong in this way, and I could use that strength to accomplish this goal, or I can support you in this and we can do it together. So it really is kind of a game about resilience and working together as a team to grow and succeed at a shared goal.
Well, and one of the things that I like about the dice then is that it takes the risk out of failure, or it takes the ownership out of failure, maybe. Because that is one of the things that we know helps develop resilience is failure and your reaction to it. And out in the real world, that can be scary. Like if you are failing in a class, that is not acceptable. Or if you fail to make it all the way across the monkey bars, like, are your friends going to laugh at you? But when you fail a roll in D&D, you didn't do that. Like, you can't control the dice. Sometimes the dice are on your side and sometimes they're not. And that's one of the things that Chloe has had to learn over the course of the series. You know, when she was rolling at the beginning, she rolled really bad. She would get really upset. And it has taken us a little bit, but she really enjoys it now because she knows that she didn't fail the roll. The roll failed her. And so now she has to figure out what to do with that new information and sort of move forward with it. And it also helps kids not to just assume success all the time, because succeeding all the time doesn't build resilience. When you are placed in a bubble, when you are placed in a golden cage, and you just are given every opportunity to succeed, you don't become resilient because your identity isn't ever tested in the way that failure tests you.
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting about D&D is that even if your character is really good at something or specializes in something, like my character is an archer and they're really good with their bow, and that's like where I've focused all of their growth, you can still fail on that. There's a chance of failure constantly in D&D. And one of the things I like about the way you DM, Ryan, and help me remember exactly how you say it, but you say something like, a fail as there is no bad roll, because even like a fail at a roll creates something interesting, like something interesting might happen.
Oh, yeah. It's when we talk about the rule of cool, like
Yes.
it can still create something cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes you feel better about like, oh no, my character failed at this. I let down the whole team. It's not like your whole team has lost permanently. It's like, oh, this is going to add something really interesting to the story. Like we're going to have a new challenge to overcome, or we're going to have to make some alliances with people that can help us move forward. It adds to it. The failure spices things up.
And that's why multiple intelligences is really a crucial tool around the table too, because you can't fail at being your type of intelligence. We're not testing intelligence the way that we do in schools, right? Where you can, you say that you're smart at math, but you got like a 20 on that paper. So are you really smart at math? That's not what multiple intelligence theory is talking about. It's talking about how your brain works. It talks about how you encounter the world. Like Chloe is a linguistic kid through and through. And that doesn't mean that she doesn't trip over her words sometimes. That doesn't mean that she doesn't, know words sometimes. But it does mean that the way that she interacts is primarily going to be in this certain way. It's not something that she fails at, it's a way that she is made. And because that's the way that she is made, when she fails, that's how she is going to move past her failure and onto the other side. We had a question on our YouTube podcast page from Ben, shout out to Ben, who said that he was interested to know how we simplify the game or introduce novel ways for our kids to engage. And he specifically said, and this is the thing that I want to highlight, he said that he has found that props, mini games, and physical challenges are all helpful at his table when he's playing with his kids. And I love that because one of the downsides of D&D, I would say, is that it is primarily a linguistic, spatial, or interpersonal game. And it doesn't necessarily, right, because, you're having to talk a lot. Sometimes you're looking at the maps and you're, having to interact with other people. But kids who are primarily kinesthetic, like my younger son, who is just, chaos goblin, bounces off the walls all the time, he still loves D&D when we are able to put physical challenges on it, right? So, sometimes we have these giant D6s, these giant wooden D6s that we've been, sort of teaching him. He's 5, so we're, teaching him math with, and he loves, throwing those across the room. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's, we're going to fight this goblin, but you've got to run around the room 3 times before you can make a move. Or if you do this special dance move, then you get advantage on your next roll, right? What I like about what Ben is doing is that he's introducing these other ways to be smart to the table. And sometimes you have to do that with tabletop RPGs. They're not always going to cover all of the different ways a person can be smart. And so you as a DM, you as an adult, have to figure out what your game looks like in order to include everybody who's around the table.
A good DM, especially with kids, adults are a little bit more used to just the more simplified version of D&D, but a good DM with kids can include a lot of different puzzles and activities that are part of the game.
And it also teaches kids resilience because one of the ways that we know kids become resilient is when they recognize that it's not always about them. The situation isn't always focused on them solely. And so sometimes when, I'm including a more physical challenge to the table, and I have somebody at the table who isn't a kinesthetic learner or isn't a kinesthetic actor, they just have to sit there for a minute and they have to let somebody else take the lead, or if I'm introducing something that's more spatial, you can see in one of the more recent episodes, we did a tangram puzzle to get the table through a door. And spatial is not everybody's wheelhouse, and that's okay. The people who were spatial got to sort of dive into that, and the people who weren't spatial had to wait and had to take a breath and realize that sometimes there's an ebb and flow to the way the game is. Some people are going to be more champions in one way, and some people are going to be more champions in another way. And that is something that they can take with them when they leave the table too. When they go back into the world, when they are with their friends, when they're in their classroom, recognizing that maybe this moment is not for me, but I can still be present for it. And I can still support the people it is for. I can still show up for the people that it is for. And ultimately, that is where you build that resilience. Your identity is not captured in this one, sort of crystallized way, but instead is able to celebrate the ways that other people are made too.
Actually, an interesting thing about the tangram puzzle was that like Alice and Raynell were trying to let Chloe and Beckett do it first, even though like Alice and Raynell are the like spatial people, right?
Yeah.
So remember they were like trying to not get involved, and then you were like, "Do you want to help?" And then Chloe was like, "No, adults allowed."
Yeah. Yeah.
But really, it wasn't about adults versus kids. It was about like who has like the skills to solve this puzzle when the other players got stuck.
Well, it was both that, and it was Raynell and Alice allowing Chloe and Beckett to try their hand at something that they weren't smart at necessarily. which is also a key, right? Like you don't always just want to have the people who are smart at something do that thing. Sometimes you want to have the people who are learning do that thing, right? And the people who are very good at that thing need to take a step back, be comfortable in their own identity. You have to take a step back and let somebody else try the thing. You know you can do the thing. Now they have to learn that they can do the thing too.
In schools, like we really heavily favor like a certain type of kid or a certain type of learning
Yeah, for
style
sure.
and personality. And so I think D&D allows kids that don't fit that mold at school and might feel that they're not good at something just because they're not a good test taker or they have a hard time sitting still for that many hours of the day or whatever it might be. An alternative avenue to succeed and to lead their team at something where that would boost their confidence and their resilience at the end of the day after that experience.
Yeah, and sometimes giving them the ability, you know, that smaller table, that smaller group is where that identity formation comes. Some kids just aren't going to be school people, or they're not going to be friends people. They're not going to be, you know, in these types of crowds. And so giving them these alternate spaces gives them a chance to grow too.
Yeah, they can't just sit in the back corner and not participate.
Right.
They are a member of like a 4 or 5 person team, and they need, every person is needed.
Yeah, which is a really important thing to say to a kid too. You are not smart like this person is smart. You are smart in a different way. You are intelligent in a different way, and we need you. We need how you were made in order to keep going. And that's such a crucial thing for a kid to hear. And that's why I like having everybody around the table too. When you have more different types of people around the table, you get a better description, a better view of what our world really is like. And having kids at the table enhances that experience. Kids are often smarter in ways that adults are not. And that's one of the things that I just really love. D&D helps kids become resilient. Thanks for listening to Area of Effect. Be a part of the ongoing conversation. Follow us on Instagram at the Kids Table D&D, where you can DM us questions that might appear on a future show. And check out the Kids Table D&D on YouTube to see how we include kids and teens at the table. Brought to you by the Kids Table, because when kids are at the table, everyone wins.